Hello, YouTuber. Today, let's talk about a topic that providers, doctors, nurse practitioners, nutritionists, dietitians often get wrong. Even the American Health Association got it wrong. I'm going to tell you about the scientific research behind this and whether you should or should not. But please take 1 second and subscribe to my channel so that every time I get a bright idea, you'll be one of the very first to know. Okay? What I'm talking about today is caffeine. Caffeine gets talked about a lot, but very, very often when you hear it being talked about, you never hear any research cited behind the expert opinion about caffeine. So let's talk about this. I've studied it for years off and on, and I just looked into the research, and you can do this as well on a website called pubmed.gov, and you can read all the latest research that's available to any doctor that doctors should read but often do not. So caffeine, is it bad for me? So doctors have tried for decades to prove some negative thing about caffeine. We've tried to say it's bad for you for decades, and we just cannot do it, okay? We've researched it in people with diabetes, with high blood pressure, in children, in pregnant women. There is absolutely no research whatsoever that shows that caffeine is bad for you in any way. And I know many, many people with hypertension, high blood pressure, are told by their doctor, oh, you need to avoid caffeine. Now, that's erroneous advice. There's no research to back that up. It doesn't even make good common sense. Caffeine is a stimulant. Caffeine will elevate your heart rate a little bit temporarily. It might even elevate your blood pressure a little bit temporarily, but there is no research that shows that caffeine increases the morbidity and mortality, which are the big doctor words that mean will harm you or kill you if you drink it all the time. There's no research that backs that up. Even in people with heart failure, I can't find any research that you should not drink caffeine, okay? Also, you'll find many natural healthcare practitioners, providers, who I agree with on so many levels and so many things, will tell you to avoid caffeine. And just know that there's no research to back up that recommendation. That's just their personal opinion. Caffeine has been studied in research studies up to 400 milligrams a day, and there was no harm and no negative outcome in the research precipitants. Doctors have even did a study where they gave pregnant women up to 300 milligrams of coffee a day, or in which the pregnant women ingested up to 300 milligrams of caffeine every day, and their babies were fine, the mothers were fine, the birth outcome was fine. There was no negative outcome. So people with high blood pressure, with diabetes, with insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance have been told by their doctor, don't drink coffee or tea. Well, here's the thing. Let's be very clear. The problem with your coffee or tea or other caffeine source is the sugar contained in it, or the fructose contained in it, or the inflammatory protein if you're putting a liquid dairy product into your caffeine source that you're drinking. In other countries of the world, coffee or tea is drank by people of all ages, even young children. When I was growing up, I don't know if it's a local southern United States myth or if it's in other places as well, but all parents and grandparents were certain that if you gave your child caffeine, you would stunt their growth, and they just wouldn't reach their maximum growth potential, their height potential. There's absolutely no research that backs that up whatsoever. I'm not sure where that myth started. I actually think that Mr. Post, when he started coming up with breakfast cereals and a breakfast drink called Postum, he tried to paint coffee, which back then was drank by children of all ages for breakfast. He tried to paint that as very dangerous, and you might somehow harm your child or stunt your child's growth. Based on no research, he was just trying to sell products, right? And people often will say things that are not true, trying to sell a product. We all know that. But there's no evidence, there's no research, and so in some South American countries, people grow to be very tall, just as tall as in the U.S., but they start giving their children coffee for breakfast. The family drinks coffee every morning, and so does the child, at a very early age. As soon as they're able to not be on the breast and not need a sippy cup, they get their morning coffee with the family. And they grow up to be tall, well-adjusted, beautiful children. There's no negative repercussions from giving your child or your teenager or your adult family member caffeine. So stop being afraid of caffeine, but pay careful attention to what you put into your caffeinated drink or what's already contained in your caffeinated drink. Now, if you enjoyed this, please take a second and subscribe, of course, but also share this on your social media. If you've got a relative who says, oh, caffeine's bad for you, or I avoid it, or I would never give that to my child, share this on your social media so they can learn a little something. And I enjoyed this. I hope you did too. I'll see you next time.